Welcome back to Commonwealth Avenue. I'm Haley Crumblehome.
And I'm Keiko Talley.
After a slow licensing process caused by some controversial disclosures, Massachusetts has awarded 4 new marijuana dispensary licenses.
There are now a total of 15 licenses in the state. No dispensaries are open. However, some are concerned about how the drug will be regulated. Reporter Lauren Westberg has the story.
As of November 7th, Massachusetts has approved of 4 new medicinal marijuana dispensary licenses, including one in Boston.
There are some good studies showing that marijuana can be effective for some types of pain condition. But then beyond that, there's a lot of questions, and there are certainly patients who report having had a lot of other benefits, maybe for pain control or insomnia. But these haven't really been studied in a rigorous way that we would study most other pharmaceutical products.
However, some doctors are worried that marijuana card holders could take advantage of their access to the drug.
There are 2 questions: is how can it be used and how will it be used? People will in fact be getting a medical card, but their primary intent is to be using it recreationally. The law as it was passed is relatively lax in terms of what diagnosis you're required to have, and the regulations are rather lax.
The medicinal marijuana program allows for any cardholder to purchase up to 10 ounces per 60-day supply, an amount which some may deem as excessive.
A medical marijuana program should be tightly and carefully regulated. They've amply demonstrated that they're not up to the task.
I'm here at 21 Milk Street by the Boston Commons, where Boston's first medicinal marijuana dispensary will be built. There are many within the U.S. who disapprove of its use in any way, including the federal government, which lists marijuana as a Schedule I drug. I took to the streets of BU to find the community's feeling on this federally illegal substance.
You know, people have said that it's beneficial to them in situations where other things have not been beneficial.
To me, that just sounds like medicine. I mean, it would be like talking about medicinal opiates, which is just what we use for painkillers.
It's a medicine that will allow people to relax and unwind in a way that other medications don't necessarily offer.
Reporting for the BU News Service, I'm Lauren Westberg.
These licenses come after some controversy among the competing applicants. Some are complaining that certain companies are receiving favoritism, while another company's chief executive falsely claimed to have a college degree. In addition, some cities have moved to tighten zoning laws, limiting the number of potential dispensary locations.
What is the leading cause of death among American teenage drivers? You may think it's drunk driving, but in fact it's texting while driving. Paul Dudley has more on this growing problem and why people are still using their phones on the road.
You may want to think again before responding to that text while driving. Texting while driving claims an estimated 3,000 lives each year and causes over 300,000 injuries.
Whatever the worst accident you can think of, texting will facilitate that.
This is Detective Lieutenant Peter DiDomenica, who believes that when you have to choose between your cell phone and a life, the answer should be obvious.
All the things you want to do in your life, career, family, friends, think about what's ahead of you and just think about the importance of that message.
Sending a text is the equivalent to closing your eyes for 4.6 seconds. Can you imagine what it would be like to not be able to see for nearly 5 seconds when behind the wheel?
And even still, the statistics are frightening. If you talk on a cell phone while driving, you're 4 times more likely to have a crash. If you text, you're 8 times more likely. So why do people still insist on using their cell phone while they're driving?
I don't really think of the consequences when I'm texting while driving, really.
So just because they need to get their information across to another person? I think people always say, well, I won't get in an accident. I'm better than everybody else. I'm more aware of my surroundings than everybody else until they actually hit someone.
The law in Massachusetts states that all drivers are banned from texting while driving. But how hard is it to enforce?
I think with this law, it's to send a message that it's just dangerous as opposed to getting the message out through the enforcement.
And when talking about if the punishment meets the crime for texting while driving, fines range between $100 for a first offense and $500 for additional offenses. Luckily for the Commonwealth, there's currently a 2-year pilot program being held by Massachusetts State Police, which is increasing the number of officers on the road, both in marked and unmarked vehicles, all looking for texting drivers. The program is called Text with One Hand, Ticket in the Other. Certainly a good motto to keep in mind when behind the wheel. Reporting in Boston for the Boston University News Service, I'm Paul Dudley.
In addition to the new Massachusetts pilot program, a series of public service announcements featuring texting while driving accidents are currently being broadcast nationwide through the internet, television, and radio.
It marked the beginning of the end of communism. November 9th, 1989 is the day the Berlin Wall fell. 25 years later, and we're still remembering what that wall stood for. But how has the world changed since then? Nikita Simpath has that story.
As part of the 25th anniversary, 8,000 balloons were released along the path where the Berlin Wall once stood. Is the post-wall generation doing better?
I would say that we have better opportunities right now, of course. I mean, I don't want to be fenced, and I'm glad that I have the opportunity to live wherever I want to live.
Or are they still stuck in the past?
I employed once a guy who grew up in East Europe and in East Germany, and he was like, so what is the salary you're expecting? I was like, what do you mean? Don't we earn all the same? So it's like really, he has still this kind of mindset, and I think it still takes another 25 years to have overcome all of this and have a more Western kind of thinking.
Mr. Gorbachev at the ceremony said, "We are on the brink of a new Cold War," and experts speculate.
I think these three events, Crimea, Eastern Ukraine, and the Malaysian flight, I think they're pretty offensive when you really think about it. And rather than sort of coming to terms and extending some platform for negotiation to its Western partners, Russia sort of throws it in the face of the West while it accuses the West of being the one who is driving the tensions to near Cold War intensity.
A quarter of a century later, sections of the Berlin Wall can still be found on nearly every continent. The next 25th anniversary will follow next year to celebrate the reunification of the two Germanys. Reporting for the BU News Service, I'm Nikita Sampath.
A lot of positive change has happened since the Berlin Wall fell, but the gap between Eastern Europe and the West is still very much apparent. Will time bridge this gap, or will the involved nations take action? It's the challenge going forward for East and West. When we come back, BU women's basketball is back.
And the Daily Free Press newspaper is saved, and you won't believe who made it happen. Stay with us.